The story opens with rapid-fire gunfire and the gruesome execution of a man by another armed man. The murderer then screams at a blonde girl to cease fighting. He immediately runs towards her and attempts to grab her from behind, but she is too quick for him and smashes him in the head with the gun's barrel. Still steady, he inquires whether she is the bounty hunter. He informs her that she does not appear to be an assassin and that she may be a novice. He then inquires about the girl's identity and snaps a picture of her using his cell phone. The blonde female is then seen walking down the street while conversing with her boss. She is called Chateau Dankworth. She gets called to his office. Chateau now works for Ritz Land Support Company. Ritz Land informs his subordinate Jim that Chateau is the daughter of a man who assisted his father much. Jim describes how she became a bounty hunter, and Ritz Land responds that he was unaware. Jim asserts that she is still highly effective because she saved 2 targets on her own. He suggests that someone else may be assisting Chateau. Then, we witness the killer following her everywhere she goes. Then, we observe Chateau and Ritz Land meeting a client. The customer reveals to them an image of the same serial killer, Ryan Song. He worked as a translator for the most powerful firm in Asia, where he murdered all the top officers. He then murdered 18 members of the command staff. He is a particularly dangerous criminal, and 20 groups have offered rewards for his capture. The client ensures that if they pursue this objective, he would pay a higher price than others. Following Ritz Land's departure, Chateau and her boss are seated in a cafe. Song enters and abducts her. Then, he attempts to charm her and convince her to develop a soft spot for him. He will only assist her with a project if she is willing to go on a date with him on December 24th. In the following scene, Song is targeted for assassination, but he is too swift for that. On December 24th, Chateau and Song meet and check into a romantically lighted hotel room. Chateau repeatedly inquires as to why he is always following her, and why he is so interested in her. Song disregards him. Then we saw Ritz Land with Song at Chateau. We can see that Song is extremely interested in Chateau. Then we rewind 17 years to when an automobile was involved in an accident. A young girl is soundly resting in the back seat. Then, after some time, a police officer questions the terrified child outside the car for information. After delivering Chateau to the train station, he is wandering aimlessly. Suddenly, he discovers he is being followed. The attention then changes to Ritz Land, who is extremely concerned by Chateau and Song's behavior. Perhaps he made an error. The girl is not Chateau. He has bizarre ideas about Chateau going solo. Then, Song directs Chateau to the one he previously killed for targeting him. Chateau discovers the deceased man and his accomplice. Song then contacts the client who commissioned Ritz Land Company to kill Song. This individual is killed by the Song. Then, Ritz Land calls Chateau to inform her that their client has passed away. Then, we notice the individual who had previously followed Song. It appears that he is also monitoring Chateau. On Mountain Road, Chateau is driving her automobile as that guy follows her on a bicycle. He then shoots Chateau in her car's tire, pushing her into a ravine, but Chateau survives. Meanwhile, Song is persistently searching for Chateau, but has found no trace of her. He's quite concerned. The motorcycle guy reaches Chateau and tells her that he does not get Song's interest in her. He then destroys her cell phone and flees. Song arrives at the scene of the accident, picks up Chateau, and transports her to a motel. In the meantime, Ritz Land and Jim are concerned about Chateau's whereabouts. Song inquires about Chateau's assailant, to which she responds that he had a tattoo on his left cheek. Finally, we see a man with his left cheek covered saying that Song must repay him now or never. Chateau exits the hotel and informs Ritz Land that she is safe and will return shortly. Song offers to break up with her, but Chateau declines. She relays the warning from the biker to Song, "Retribution is due, you fraud." Then she leaves. Now we're 5 years in the past, when the biker Wu is speaking with his colleague Sung Woo. He is furious that Ryang-ha, a relatively new employee, has been recommended for the executive job. He is truly consumed by jealousy and anger. Sung Woo describes the entire event to Song, who then takes him into a room and shoots him to death. Currently, Ritz Land is quite concerned about Chateau, and he asks her if she has ever met Song. Chateau does not respond. She then returns home, where Song is awaiting her arrival. He welcomes himself inside. He notices a photograph of Chateau with her parents on a fireplace mantel and inquires about it, to which Chateau responds that it is none of his business. Judah urges Song not to walk freely because he has so many enemies, to which Song replies that they both have enemies and their lives are in danger. However, he believes that Chateau has feelings for him, thus she is not using her coworkers to trap him. Then, Chateau receives a voicemail from Chatter's mother requesting her presence on the anniversary of her father's passing. Song departs immediately, allowing Chateau to enjoy her own privacy. The scene begins with Chateau visiting her father's grave near the church, followed by Ritzland visiting Chateau's mother. She informs him that he frequently visited this location with his father, and that she and he were childhood playmates. The narrative then turns to Chateau when a nun enters, and a Song is waiting for Chateau. Then, thugs assault them, but Song destroys them all. Chateau rushes to the tomb, where she discovers who aiming a rifle at the nun. Chateau then hits him with a shock pistol, which has minimal effect. He claims that his brain is so drained from drug use that a simple stun gun would have little effect on him. Ritzland inquires as to why Chateau's mother is a bounty hunter, to which she responds that she may be searching for something. Then we see Song arrive to the cemetery, but who has already taken Chateau away? Who answers Song's call to Chateau, posing a challenge to Song to find them. We rewind 17 years to when authorities were inspecting a suspicious vehicle. A young man's body was discovered along with a child who was sleeping soundly in the back seat. Chateau's stomach begins to rumble as she responds to Agent Dankworth's inquiry that the target was eliminated by gunfire. Kindly, he brings her home and feeds her. He then inquires about the deceased man, to which she responds that she is unfamiliar with him. Then, it is determined that there is no record of a person named Chateau Noble. This indicates that she was given a false name. It appears that Chateau was stolen. She is then placed in an orphanage before being adopted by Agent Dankworth and becoming Chateau Dankworth after some time. Then it is revealed that even Ryan Hassan's record is fabricated, and his true identity remains unclear. Who is subsequently shot by Song when he reaches him. He inquires about Chateau, and we show Chateau strapped to a car with a bomb poised to detonate nearby. Suddenly, a blast occurs, and Hu points a dagger towards Song. Fortunately, Chateau survives the blast. Hu recalls how Wu, the son of a loving colleague, took care of him while he was a drug user and became his mentor, and then Song cruelly murdered him. Hu successfully stabs Song, but is then shot and killed. Song liberates Chateau and escapes, but passes out as a result of extreme anguish from his wound. Then, an unidentified character reports Hu's failure to kill Song to his supervisor and inquires about the next step. Chateau is sent to a back alley physician with Jim's assistance, but Jim also reports everything to Ritzland. Therefore, Chateau proposes Song depart before Ritzland's arrival. Song offers to bring her with him to Independence, but she declines, so he departs after first taunting her. After her ban expires, Song contacts Chateau to notify her that he would be traveling. Chateau begins to get distressing recollections of the deceased when he was still living. Chateau, Ritzland, and Jim have a mission to go undercover aboard the cruise ship in order to protect one of Ritzland's VIP relatives. Song also boards the ship, but he is unaware that a stranger is following him. We saw the past in which a man rescues a nameless child and gives him the name Ring. Chateau and Jim's discovery that the VIP is Ritzland's wife, Hawk, who runs a multi-billion-dollar company and is politically connected, respectively. Song approaches Chateau, who believes he has come to murder Hawk. Song does not respond, but instead challenges Chateau. He will not act as long as Chateau can see him. With Ritzland's permission, Chateau agrees to share a room with Song for the duration of the voyage, while Ritzland and Jim keep a tight check on them. After noticing that Chateau is experiencing an episode of insomnia, it brings her to bed, where she promptly falls asleep. Song is stunned by her profound trust and innocence. Song takes Chateau shopping for clothes despite her resistance, since he believes she needs a makeover. Jim makes further security preparations for Hawk. In a private discussion with Song, Ritzland discloses that he is aware that Chateau cannot recall much of her background, other than the possibility that her previous surname was Noble. An unidentified assailant stabs Ritzland in the throat. After advising Song that he and Chateau must remain on the ship, Song pushes Chateau to find Ritzland and pursues the assassin as he tries to flee. Before Chateau is transported to the hospital with Hawk and Jim, Ritzland informs him that Song was not the one who stabbed him. Jean, the assassin, assaults Chateau. On one occasion, Chateau discovers Song and draws her revolver on him. Jinan has blackmailed her by promising to protect her mother and provide a flat payment in exchange for the murder of Song. Song surprisingly agrees to be turned up to Jinan out of guilt. Chateau attempts suicide by shooting herself. Song abruptly stops her and begins choking her, urging her to be more truthful with herself and others. It is shown that Jinan's boss manipulates events. Chateau is so strangled by the Song that she feigns death. Ring is portrayed as a teenager studying diligently in order to thank Donnie, the man who saved and named him, one day. However, Danny had other plans. He assigned Song a top-secret task. Chateau has flashbacks of riding in a car with the deceased man who instructed her to be Song's friend and to introduce herself as Chanton Noble. Rit's land is ultimately resurrected, and Sajanan decides to rejoin the ship at the next port. Song exits the ship and meets Jinan, clarifying that Chateau should be left alone and her future participation is unnecessary. Jinan and another assassin, naked, begin driving Song to see their employer, Don Donald Bachman, sometimes known as Donahue. Nick attempts to identify Song, but Song refuses to identify himself. Jim, who survived with minor injuries thanks to bulletproof windows in his automobile, takes Chateau on board the ship. They attempt to flee the ship, but Jim prevents their departure. Together, the assassin is shot and rendered unconscious. Dunny dials the number of the assassin, but Chateau does not respond. Song is escorted to meet Donnie while bound and blindfolded. Dooney says that he adopts and raises unknown orphans as his accomplices. He also tells that he named one of his deceased orphans Ryan, the Song. Another complication is that Song is not truly Song, but a doppelganger. The injured killer tells Chateau and Jim that Danny is known as the Trigger and is paid by his patrons to use his associates to cause wars around the globe. Chateau asks Jim to protect her mother and then resigns from her employment to prevent her acts from tarnishing the name of Rit's land. Nika allows Song to release himself so that they may engage in combat. Multiple guards are murdered, and Song's freshly sutured wound is reopened. With a vehicle, Chateau destroys the gate to Donnie's estate. Song's blood loss causes him to lose strength, and flashbacks reveal that as a youngster he was in the automobile with young Chateau and the real Song. The Song collapses and gives up the ghost. Nick reveals in passing that Chateau is outside before leaving. Jinan confronts Nick regarding Song's release, who is recuperating rapidly. Song saves Chateau from the guards and gleefully calls her a moron for nearly losing her life attempting to save him. Chateau and Song reach a camp to cure Song's wounds to make amends for his error. Nick pledges to locate Song and execute him. Chateau and Song uncomfortably express their appreciation for one other's rescue. Dunny chooses not to send Nick after Song, but he insists they still find Chateau, who Umi has been yearning for since she was a youngster, who was forced to learn criminal skills before learning to read or write, forces Song to pick pockets. The heart of Chateau is filled with regret. Song refuses to answer when Chateau inquires about Donnie's organization and why they are interested in her. Angry, Chateau attempts to undertake her own investigation to discover the truth. Song loses his rage and dares to hurt her in order to be obedient, but then softens and says that he is unwilling to lose her after spending so many years searching for her after losing her the first time. Chateau suddenly recalls that as a child, she shot a person. In a flashback, it is revealed that Danny requested the original Song to watch over a guy named List Noble. On his way to see List, he discovered a young Song and rescued her from kidnappers. Ryan, a university student, watched Song for a week while List was delayed. As Song prepared to depart, Ryan received a call from List pleading with him to uncover what List had concealed. Sun Woo shot List while he was still on the phone because he was enraged that the girl he was looking for was not present. Song assisted Ryung-ha, and together they discovered a young child sleeping in a suitcase. After stealing a car that sped away, she awoke crying but was able to identify herself as Chantun Noble. Ryung-ha, upon learning that she was Liz's daughter, chose to assume responsibility for her. While battling a cabin for the night, some decide to temporarily depart. Ryung-ha was uncertain as to whether he should kill Song to conceal his whereabouts, but he ultimately allowed him to escape. On his journey, Song was followed into the woods by the remaining child smugglers. Ryung-ha planned to bring Song back while leaving Chateau to sleep and his gun behind. Ryung-ha, unable to locate Song, returned to the cabin where Chateau, having awoken alone and terrified, was hiding in the closet with Ryung-ha's gun and attempting to open the door. He was inadvertently shot by her. With this unpleasant recollection in mind, the adult Chateau passes out in regret. Song is able to defeat the traffickers. Rihanna was initially shot in the neck but survived and fled in the car with Song. A week later, Song awoke in a hospital, where a police investigator, likely Officer Dankworth, Chateau's eventual adoptive father, informed him that Rihanna had passed away after safely delivering Chateau. Bereaved, Song adopted the name Ryung-ha Song as his own, and the current Song transports Chateau to one of his safe places, where she rests for 2 days after regaining her memory. After awakening, she is enraged that Song was aware of everything the entire time without telling her, and she realizes why she never had the heart to refuse Song. She unconsciously remembered Ryung-ha's name, and couldn't reject the guy she mistakenly killed. Dunny meets with the head of the Noble family, while Nika kidnaps Jim and Rit's land protects Chateau's mother. Chido wants to hire a Song to kill Donnie, but he informs her that she must become his partner in crime, which she happily agrees. However, she is bewildered when he rejects payment and instructs her to figure out what he wants. Leave a comment below if you wish to see additional episodes of this anime. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up.